Um, Let me first sincerely apologize for the break in communication. I actually ran out of power and had to restart my system. I also want to appreciate the organizers of this program, for finding me fit to handle this part of the event. And let me generally say good morning, and equally to my boss, the general who just finished his presentation. Unfortunately for me, I didn't get to see the last part of his presentation. So I have questions in that regard, or would like to hear how he ended his own session. He has equally done a lot of justice in regards to my own area. I think it's just going to be a summary, looking at what the general has done. Okay, so basically, I'm supposed to talk about the positives and negatives of arming private security personnel. The question is, how safe are we as Nigerians? How safe are we as Nigerians, our living and working day in these present times? I, for one, have lost friends and family members to the level of insecurity in Nigeria. And I'll ask anyone has that faith, if you've lost 1 or 2%, then you know the level of insecurity, or rather you have an idea of the level of insecurity in Nigeria. I know we see it on air. It's a daily occurrence now, but has it really gotten to us? Some of us have, so we have a different view and have a different feeling. If you have lost a sister to armed robbers, or you had to contribute to pay ransom for a brother who had been kidnapped, and consistently you are concerned about the safety of your children and family, then you will think of the best ways to protect yourself and your loved ones, everyone around you. Let me even ask, what is the position of Nigeria on the Global Terrorism Index as of today? Nigeria is the third behind Iraq and Afghanistan, and it holds a fourth position on the international list of black market trading of AK-47 rifles. We have too many guns on the streets of Nigeria at the moment, even considering the effect of the NSAS. There are too many illegal weapons on the hands of criminals, militants, kidnappers, and also those who have chosen illegal procurement of weapons for personal protection. Everyone needs to protect themselves, but how are they going about it? There are guns being sold across board now, so we need a proper regulation. If you look at the NSAS situation as at late last year, and even the breaks of prisons in recent times, we have too many numbers of guns and criminals on the loose. Nigeria today is, this is what we are up against. For every time you read on papers or you watch channels, or as the case may be, any of these stations, you get to see that the level of insecurity in Nigeria is just rising. Like, it's almost like there is no solution to put an end to our situation. By statistics, sure, we all can tell that the spike of insecurity in recent times is overwhelming. A lot of Nigerians are giving up on their own country and having to relocate. Today, Nigeria is battling to contain terrorism. We have situation of carjackings. We have the rise of insurgency. We have cattle rustling, armed robbery, kidnapping for ransom, which is actually lucrative at the moment because ransoms are being paid across board. The ones we hear and the ones we don't even know about. There are some that even at high positions have decided that, okay, it is best to pay ransom. So people have taken advantage, they've seized the opportunity to look into it because Nigerians are actually paying for ransom. So if you ask me, it's more like a lucrative business at the moment. You have cases of assassination, you have ethnic and religious conflicts, you have political violence, just to mention a few. At the moment, you even have cases of smash and grab, daylight robbery. I've been a victim. My car has been smashed twice. First was during the NSAS, and recently this year. My car was smashed and a few things scattered away. There was a situation in Lagos, somewhere around Lekki. This happened twice in a week, where gunmen came out, shot in the air sporadically, and everyone left their vehicles and ran away. And you had people smash, you had these gunmen smash your vehicles and cut away with things. So the level of insecurity is honestly becoming overwhelming. And what are we doing? What are we doing about it? Nigeria on today's news, mostly bad news, insecurity, and it is basically a current trend. Let me even call it a current reality. But reality can change. We can actually change reality. How do we do that? The existing security architecture may need some modification and consistent review. This has been the case for quite some time now to arm guards. I think it's long overdue. Like the last speaker mentioned. Now let's even ask ourselves, where are our policemen? He has said it all. The general has basically said it all. Where are these policemen? They're being overstretched, actually doing what? Check the shopping malls, that's where they are. Check nightclubs, that's where they are. They're with VIP, they're with politicians, worship centers, cash-in trucks, CEOs, escort duties, to mention a few: weddings, funerals, engagement, parties, office premises. You know, if you have some amount, you can actually pay for a policeman to be attached to you. Is that their core duty? Is that what they are meant to do? It's a lot of challenge. I, for one, to be honest, I actually didn't even know that they were this stretched, even while in the army, not until I came out and joined the industrial security. You know, check the whole of Guaripa, check the whole of Asukoro, check the whole of Parkview, check the whole of Ikoyi. For every wealthy man you see there, he has more than 5 to 10 policemen watching him. So what happens to your mother and my mother and the average person on the street? Is that where they are meant to be? Is that their core duty? It comes with a very huge cost to the man on the street who has more vulnerability to violent crimes. Another question is, who will protect the Nigerian people? Still, the general mentioned it. Who will protect us if everyone is attached to these persons? Who then protects us? So basically, it's a good time to consider alternative security arrangements, which is to arm private security company or private security guards, as the case may be. And like was earlier mentioned, it's not just arming them. It's not just basically arming them. Do they have the requisite skill and knowledge? It is honestly overemphasized. The idea of arming private security guard is overemphasized, but this is weighing the pros and cons. It is highly oversized. These armed private security personnel would have some specific assignments, like my boss earlier mentioned: custom-built training, adequate technical support, high-value clients, and most importantly, strict and firm regulation on the use of guns. You can't have guns in the hands of everyone that claims to be a security guard or security personnel. What are the regulations to ensure that this is actually a security person, or the guns are being used for what they are meant for? The security personnel just has to be highly trained, has to be disciplined, not just with weapons, but also his discipline counts, his skills, intelligence required to carry firearms. He won't just employ someone on the street who is looking for a job and then hand over guns to him. How efficient is he with the weapon? What is the background? What does it take to employ one or two of these persons? And trust me, with having a couple of or a few private security companies with firearms, it would take away the burden of overstretching the military or the police. They would focus on their primary responsibility, their core duties, without distraction. To focus on the reason why they wear the uniform and the reason why they actually carry their own guns without any form of distraction. It would help and protect the everyday Nigerian. We need our guys back. We need the police back. We need the military back to focus on their duty. They are being overstretched. I barely just left the army. I know what it was. I still know what it is like because I still communicate with my colleagues in the field. The Nigerian Army is being overstretched on IS, on border security, on internal security. You know, Boko Haram here in the northeast, we have IPOP to the east. It's actually stretching on our security companies, on our security agencies. So I think it is not out of place to have private guards with firearms, and for those who need extra protection of their lives and property should make a formal request for these armed private security personnel. Not just having a police because you have money, because you're high profile. You go and cut away with 15, 20 policemen to oversee just one individual. So what happens to the average man on the street? Besides, it's an international practice to have private security companies provide some level of security using firearms. Even countries that have less security issues are already doing it within Africa and the West at large. Besides, we equally even have private vigilantes with day guns and shotguns protecting residential areas. The government might as well just approve of the use of firearms by trained private security personnel, because these vigilantes are expanding. Who regulates them? Who looks into what they do? Who can ascertain that, okay, at the moment these guys deserve to be with firearms, but they need to protect their own, they need to protect their environment, you know. So if we look at the positive and negative, I would say there are a few things we need to ask ourselves when it comes to I rather call them challenges. And if we can answer those challenges, then we can decide whether it is appropriate or it is advisable to have private security companies with firearms. Number one, handling the firearms to those with discipline and not enough training, like the vigilantes, like I earlier mentioned. Who are these guys that are going to be with these firearms? How trained are they? How efficient have they been with firearms? You have trigger happy people. You have people who take drugs, narcotics, and all that. How can they handle weapons? Where I come from, we see situations like that where you have 1 or 2 persons intoxicated by maybe drugs or alcohol, but there are ways we handle situations like that. What background does this individual come from? Are they properly vetted and cleared from having ties with criminal groups? How are the ammunitions even being procured? Where are they coming from? Who checks all this? Who checks the man with a licensed gun? Is it just by presenting his license to be in possession of a firearm? Is that what it takes? Does the guard actually carry permit that authorizes them not to just possess firearms but use it? Under what laws do they operate? If, for instance, a guard allegedly kills a criminal, what happens? Or is he left with his own discretion? So if we can answer those questions, then we basically can decide whether or not it is appropriate for private guards to bear firearms. Are you with me, sir?
Hello? Very much with you. Very much with you.
Like I was saying, if we can answer those questions, then we can tell if private guards should actually bear firearms. Like the general equally mentioned, you have a lot of executive protection ongoing being provided by the police and civil defense. Is that appropriate? What do you have why do you have private guards for? What are they doing? Why can't you equip them? Why can't you strengthen them? Why can't you have regulations that bind them in using weapons? Why would you have to drag overstretch? Everyone is complaining. Even these guys that uses these policemen for events still understand how stretched the system is, but then they need to protect themselves. And if you have the money to afford it, you do it to protect yourself. What is wrong if we create a special unit, even within the police ranks? What is wrong if they have a unit specially for executive protection? Not just policemen, not just the average policeman. These private companies have majority of the guys who get into private security are even ex-servicemen who have some level of discipline. Like the general said, it's not just deploying people to churches and deploying people to events. And then the situation comes and they run and leave you. I can tell you that there are situations that even the policemen that provide security for these VIPs get into an ambush or get into a situation and they abandon the principles. What is the level of training? Because they are just being paid daily for it. What is the level of training they have? What sort of training do they have? I just come and apply and you give me men and it ends there. What sort of training do they have? What sort of discipline do they have? It's not out of place. Like my boss rightfully said, to have these guys properly trained, even under the military. The military is training a lot of paramilitary establishments at the moment, basically for discipline. We don't even need to teach you how to use your firearms. But once you have that discipline, which is the bedrock of everything that comes to you as a security man, you would know how to handle these guns. You would understand the implication. We have situations and cases of accidental discharge. Where I come from, I don't know what that means. Before bullet leaves your gun, you have procedures that you must have passed through. So having a shot, you intend to release it. So there's just a lot we need to ask ourselves. Sometimes I even ask myself in all sincerity, is this the right forum to have this discussion? After we have the discussion, does it end here? How far does it go? Who even listens to us? Are the appropriate people going to listen to us? Are there going to be areas where this can be channeled for further action? Or does it just end here? Does it just end on the meeting we have at the moment? We've been having this over time. It's just the appropriate time to have, if you ask me, it's the appropriate time to have private guards licensed with firearms. Armed private guard system should have a single body and should be organized in such a way that all weapons are legally owned by the government or leased to companies licensed to provide such services. Also, approved licensed firearms procurement companies should be made known to private security companies for purchase and proper documentation. It is not out of place. With all this, the security challenge in Nigeria would definitely be better. I basically would leave this to us, to summarize all I've been saying, that at the end of this, where does it end? Does it end with what we've just had? Or how far can this go? We have a body. The private security companies, how united are they? Is there a single body for the private security companies who want these guns licensed to them? Who's going to manage it? Who are they going to report to? So we need to come together. I know there's a body pursuing for these licenses, but after that is done, how united or how strong is this body? I just want to say thank you for the little time given to me. I would have rather we even had an interactive class so that ideas can come in along this presentation or discussion, as the case may be. I really appreciate your time given to me for this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And if I may actually use that question as a way to also rebound on some of the comments we've heard so far, and in particular from the Major and the previous speaker on arming guards. So, and then Andrew, I think, will be in a much better position to talk about the skill sets required of guards. But what I will say, as an association, the security companies that are part of the association offer a range of services. And we have companies that have armed security as well as unarmed security personnel. And of course, it very much is up to the respective companies when they're hiring their personnel to determine what skill sets are required. Now, of course, and this is where we're going back to what the Major was saying, if one is going to hire armed or personnel for armed security services, then the requirements in terms of licensing, training, selection and vetting, background checks, etc., are that much more important in terms of what has to be met. Because there's hearing the arguments being put forward, we see this in many other contexts where, because of the level of risk to the communities and to clients, the authorities have permitted the use of armed security providers, private security providers. But of course, in response to that risk, that also creates a risk to the security provider and potentially to their client as well as to the communities if you have the wrong people on staff, if they're not properly trained, and if they are if there's in the let's say not enough regulation oversight on where the weapons are coming from, how they're being administered, what is one doing if there's a discharge situation, how do you train on questions on use of force and escalation use of force. So if a company decides to go down the path of arming its guards, then that comes with a whole level of responsibilities and risks, which are clearly recognized in the code, which is in at some level why the code was developed and the work the association was put in place, was to actually address these issues where there's a greater risk of human rights abuses. But with your permission, I think Andrew maybe could be in a better position as well as the sort of someone running a security company to speak about the sort of background checks and what is required.
Yes, indeed. I mean, that presents, excuse me, huge risk for us as some of our panelists and those that are part of this presentation know. The private security industry in Nigeria at the moment is built on regulation that prohibits private security guards carrying arms. Can't do it. And so much as one welcomes the idea of arming private guards, one must also ask the question, in the current climate of the country, Nigeria, can this be done? I think that question speaks to the issues surrounding the state itself, the credibility of the state to allow this sort of situation to come about. It's a huge risk. It's risky enough managing unarmed guards and the responsibilities that come with that, and not to talk about arming them. The whole process, and I think the underlying issues have all been mentioned. I mean, you can always arrange anything to get licenses, and so it's very challenging. I mean, it's something that has to be thought very carefully. How to mitigate those risks. Very, you just have to. It's not something that can be taken lightly at all. You can arrange to get any license, even the guardian license as it is right now. You can arrange to get it, and I believe in the present climate of the country, you probably can arrange to get, if that is allowed, to get license for your guards to carry weapons. But then how do you operate it? So it speaks to the state itself, the credibility of the Nigerian state as it is. And that raises other fundamental issues and questions. And even as it is, we have huge issues of standardization in the private security industry as it is now. Standards, very difficult. Even our regulators, the Civil Defense Corps, I don't think that they are capable, quite frankly, and I say this with every due respect, I'm not even sure that they are sure of themselves, and that therefore they're in a position to enforce the standards that exist as they are right now. So there are very important issues that the Major and the General, they've raised, very important issues, but that requires very deep thinking, careful thinking. But I don't know if we have the people at the top who are capable of addressing these issues and bringing about the right solution. The private guard companies are doing a job that they are meant to do at their level, and the government security agencies are supposed to do their own job, complement to support the guard companies. But of course, like the Major said, they're overstretched. But that again speaks to the situation we find ourselves in Nigeria today, the state itself. And I think until that is resolved, we may not be able to realistically address the issue of whether we want to arm our guards, our private guards, some of them or all of them, under whatever circumstances. I think I want to stop there.
Question is with regards to the second to the last speaker who was talking about arming the private security to protect their clients. And given the fact that in the case of Nigeria, we have had so much of armed proliferations, especially small arms and light weapons. How are we going to be able to control a situation whereby the arming of these private security companies or private security guards escalates to a point that it turns out to be insecurity on its own, as we are currently facing different forms of attack with small arms and light weapons being proliferated all over the country. Thank you.
Yeah, I really want to thank him for that question. Nigeria is a federal republic. We practice the same kind of democracy that is being practiced in the United States. Now, if you have incompetent leaders, you have incompetent security outfit, and you have janjaweeds all over your forests, raping your wives, your children, preventing you from famine so that in the next 2 years, hunger will kill all of you. There's a need to go through that procedure, the process. Not only private security organizations should be armed, individuals should be licensed to carry arms. Because we don't need to have gotten to this point. We have a country that is just next to us, Ghana. When the Janjaweeds entered Ghana, the army went into the forest and killed all their cows and drove them away, and they are here in Nigeria. So it's no longer about the issue of arms proliferation. I did a research, and I know that in West Africa alone, we have more than 6 million small arms, illegal small arms in the sub-region, and Nigeria has so many of them. And you have 210 million people, and you have some ragtags, 1,000 to maybe 5,000 people armed and maiming you, kidnapping you. We should begin to go away from idealism and start focusing on realism. We need to arm our people, whether private or non-private. I should be licensed to carry arms. So we just need to go through the process. You license, you make sure that anybody that is carrying arms have the requisite psychology, medical state of mind, and so on to carry arms. Okay, if you say people should not carry arms or because of proliferation of arms, but the Janjaweed is those people that are carrying cows up and down. They carry AK-47, and we see them every day. Are they licensed? So I think we should go to the realm of realism and try to talk factually to each other. Nigeria, we need our private security organizations to be properly licensed. I was in the military. I was in the Defense Intelligence Agency when Chief Aboluri, the person that was in charge of Civil Defense Corps, is my friend. He lives next to me in Abeokuta here. He's retired. I was in the military. I was in the DIA when he requested that they should be carrying arms, and the military was opposed to it. I remember when their arms eventually came because Obasanjo approved it. I was among the people that went to the airport and we seized all those arms. Today, the same Civil Defense Corps has been doing much better than the police. So my answer to you is that, gentlemen, we should forget about all these academics and trying to be politically correct. The state we are now is that I cannot drive my car from here now to Ibadan. I'm afraid. I cannot drive my car from here to Ilaro. They kidnap me on the way, and I'm not armed. So I think we should begin to change the conversation. All those rhetorics about illegal armed proliferation, yeah, we have them, but they're in the wrong hands. So what is wrong if we start developing our private security organizations to be in the realm of black waters, executive outcomes, properly licensed, properly regulated? That's how we should be discussing now. Because there are so much illegal arms, you acknowledge that. They are in the system. So how do you, and you have incompetent government at the federal level, at the state level, at the local government level. In fact, local government does not exist. Highly irresponsible people in government. So my question is it better for you to get a licensed weapon or to keep on saying that, how are you going to go about regulating it? How are they regulating the one that are in the system? So please, I think this lecture is very important. We should be looking for a new role for private security organization in Nigeria. I was in the government for 35 years. I carried out operations up to Angola, South Africa, everywhere. If you don't regulate, because the executive outcome there in South Africa, they ban them now, they're unbanning them, and they're everywhere. Black waters, they ban them, unban them. I did a research on them. They are functioning. So I think we should be talking to our government to empower the private security organization and rejig them in a way that they can support the police effectively, not by just wearing uniform and going to stand guard at a gate. And that is my position. I thank you.
Very much. I would like to thank the panelists for the wonderful presentations. And I'm actually happy that we now have private security in Nigeria that is member of ICOCA. And if you actually listen to Mr. Andrew, he said that it is one of their big clients that actually, asked them to be members of ICOCA. I think what we as civil society can do is to we can factor this into, our advocacy plan to make most of these big clients, imply on, those they are contracting.
Are you there?
For their security jobs to actually become members of ICOCA. I think if we do this, we will improve the standard of security. We'll also actually go to Mr. Andrew and Mr. Emmanuel, Major Emmanuel. I think this question because I'm worried about the situation around the South, just within these few days when we have the issues of unarmed men, shooting sporadically and then killing, attacking security personnel. If you go to the police stations around Port Harcourt, around, and then and its surrounding, you discover that one lane of the road leading to the security to the police station is blocked. And in most of these police stations, you discover that it is these private cars that are actually protecting the police. And I think, I don't know whether there is a particular mechanisms most of these security aspects are using, that they are not afraid of this unknown gunmen, but our conventional security, the police and the military are actually afraid. And so the question I want to ask, we can see a cooperation between the private security and the public. So who is ultimately responsible, for their management? On how does the chain of command work? Because, what we are seeing earlier before this sporadic shooting I'm talking about, we see a situation where most of these security outfits seem not to be regulated. We see some security, some private security, actually arresting people. and then they are prosecuting people, but the police is actually doing nothing about it. So how does this cooperation, how is it supposed to work? Who is ultimately responsible for the management? And how does the chain of command, how does it work? I'm talking about the cooperation between private and public security.
Okay.
Who is ultimately responsible for their management? How does the chain of command work?
First of all, I think there must be synergy. There must be synergy within the private security company and the police itself. Take, for instance, I have a private security company stationed in Lagos or stationed in Ibadan, as the case may be. It is of importance that I go to the police command in that general area and make myself known, not just basically to protect his policemen, but in a way assist them. You know, let them understand that my presence is available for any sort of assistance. I think I heard where you talked about the private security guards not being scared about bandits or touts, and then the soldiers and police are scared. I actually haven't witnessed that, but it still boils down to you being overstretched. You being overstretched as a security agency. I think the major problem we have in Nigeria when it comes to what we do is structure. We don't have a solid structure. We don't have a solid structure when it comes to security. When it comes to almost virtually everything, we don't have a solid structure. We don't have a solid regulation. We don't have discipline. We don't have discipline. Discipline is really lacking across board. Discipline is really lacking across board. We should have there are situations, and it is clear we've heard one or two lawmakers come out and say, protect yourselves. You know, we've seen it in the papers, we've heard it on air. How are you meant to protect yourselves? It's just all these situations, all these issues boils down to the fact that we do not have a solid structure. We do not have a solid structure to back whatever we're doing, or for guidance. We lack that. We lack that across board. So with a solid structure, trust me, with a solid structure and proper regulation, then you'll be able to understand the chain of command. Because right now it's just basically awareness, or you want to support the police force. But I'm wondering how you're going to support the police force unarmed. I'm wondering how that is going to happen. They just basically need to be synergy. And what sort of synergy can you even get at the moment? From what you said, you had security guards protect policemen in somewhere in the east. Maybe they are vigilantes that are armed. You know how far these guys arm themselves. They even arm themselves spiritually. So it's just basic lack of structure. We need a solid structure, basically. Thank you.
All right, my first question, which I already typed, is that what is the place of NIC-COMSAT, our satellite placed in the orbit? What is the place of that in national security in Nigeria? Then the second one, which I was still typing before you called on me, is that we begin to have a feeler that maybe there is a discrete agenda that is playing out. Why is it not easy for the military or the government to back the military to crush terrorism, banditry, kidnappings? Are there some groups of people benefiting from this, either internally or internationally? And those are my two questions. Anyone can answer, please. Thank you. I am done with my questioning, please.
I don't know. Can I give it a try?
Thank you, sir. Please do, sir.
Okay, your first question is about NICOMSAT. You know, when I was in National Defense College, we visited NICOMSAT, you know, the one in Abuja. And I was in DHQ subsequently, and we also tried to bring it under the effective command of Defense Headquarters. But you know, the military can just do as much as they think things should be done. There are political considerations. Like there's a guy now that they say is a Boko Haram man, that's a minister, and they are in charge of some of these things now. And that's why it will never work. Another reason why it's not working is the corruption that pervades the contract. There's one, there's the second one, and I think the third one. I think the first one fell out of space and they couldn't find it. And I think the second one, same, it was launched in China. I visited Ukraine. Who is Remy? Remy should mute his or her something so that he's not disrupting this thing. We, as participants in National Defense College, we visited Ukraine. And we wrote on this because that time the idea was to see whether Ukraine can help us to launch the satellite because Chinese were failing. But the challenge has always been corruption. Money will be allocated and some politicians will just misappropriate the money. So sometimes you don't even get what to pay for because if you pay, let's say X amount and they've removed Y, they've removed Z, and what is remaining cannot do a good job. So we don't really have something that is very concrete. Secondly, it's about the frequencies. You know, some of these frequencies are within the military bands, and sometimes you also have problem with the international stations. But I think the problem is us, Nigeria, because we are unable to put a proper system in place that can assist us, and it's due to corruption. The second question, I will try to attempt that one. You say why the military is unable to defeat Boko Haram. I will tell you clearly it's because the politicians that are governing us presently, not all of them, but most of them are complicit. They have a different agenda from the national interest. And it is obvious. It's not because I'm saying it here. It's obvious. You can see soldiers are deserting. People are no longer loyal because they feel that they are being used as guinea pigs. So it's not that Nigeria cannot. Nigeria can. Because I knew during Yaradua, I was also involved in some internal security measures and I knew what he did. I'm talking about Niger Delta issue now. And it came to an end. So if this one is not going to an end, it's because the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces is complicit. He doesn't want it to go away. When you see a crisis going on for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and it's not going away, then you know government is involved. So I've told you in my lecture that we must begin not to be politically correct now. If you want this country to still remain, we should stop playing eye service, lip service, and try to be afraid of some SSS or some people that are also not even happy with the system. You understand? So the problem is politicians. I don't know why they think that they can colonize some other part of Nigeria. They are Nigerian, but they want to colonize other people, just like British colonized the other one. So that is the agenda that is playing now. And because they are not as intelligent, they are unable, to see it through. When you are doing a strategy, it's a parabola. When you get to the optimum point for a strategist, that optimum point is just the beginning because there's a termination phase. So they thought they've gotten to the optimum point when Buhari came to power and they're able to do what they're doing. But at the end of the day, it's going to backfire. So all those things you are saying, because I see my colleagues being killed every day. I left the military 3 years ago as a one-star general, and I see my colleagues are being slaughtered. My juniors that are trained at NDA and on board ships are being killed every day for no reason. So if they continue, eventually it's going to boomerang, it's going to get back to them. It's not that these soldiers cannot do it. We were in Liberia. I was one of the first people that they sent to Liberia to go and prepare the ground for what we call the FEBA, forward edge of battle area. And we were able to enter into Liberia, drove away those Chancellor and Johnson people, and install a democratic government there. The woman that just left. We also crossed to Sierra Leone and did the same. But we can't do it here. So something is wrong within. It is the government, this government that is actually promoting terrorism and actually promoting all this insecurity you are saying. And I can say it anywhere. So please, Ebenezer Ajayi, the point is, the lecture today is about private security firm. And my suggestion on this podium is how can we empower them to be able to actually provide succor, safety, and welfare for our citizens, because the federal government has failed. The military can no longer solve the problem we have now. The police are just, I don't know, their morale is the lowest right now. The DSS don't even know what they're doing anymore. So if the private security organization can rise, just like a civil defense corps came up during Obasanjo time and became formidable now, I think the private security organization should be given more power, more enablement to be able to actually protect their immediate environment. I'm in Abeokuta now. If I want to go to Meko now, I'm afraid they will kidnap me before I get there. So we have irresponsible government. They have failed. They don't know what to do. They are running to France, begging America to come and bring base here, going to France to beg Macron that it has been aiding Boko Haram, the French president. They are begging him now to come and help us because they've lost. Their plan, their strategy has failed. Their strategy of trying to govern Nigeria or try to take over Nigeria has failed. Now they are running up and down now. So my friend, the point is the Nigerian military that I know could have defeated Boko Haram. They were held back by the politicians, and now everybody is suffering it. The satellite program you are talking about, I don't want to talk on this program because I know those that ate the money. So corruption is the problem. Democracy that we practice is very bad, very, very bad. We just select people. See what happened in Ogun State 2 days ago. The special advisor to the governor of Ogun State was captured in the United States for defrauding. Those are the people we have in government. 419, Yahoo people. Those are the people you have in government. So we have a responsible government, and we have to tell them so. And if there's going to be an election in 2023, they should just vote them out of that place. Nigeria has been disgraced everywhere, and it's enough. Sorry I talk that way. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a number of such questions, quite a lot of them. What we're going to do is we will collate the questions and we'll still pass them to the panelists. They will respond, and as part of our coming back to you with the recording of today's program, we will also send the responses to every question. There are quite a number of them. And if we go on, probably it will take us another 2-hour session. So at this point, I would like to thank everyone. And like I said earlier, the recording will be made available and the conversation will continue. And to assuage some of the fears or comments made earlier, as to the conversation we're having today, is it going to end here? No, I can say no, because the civil society, as strong as a pillar in this country, is also now interested very deeply with the issues of security. And the NNNGO, which is the umbrella organization for all civil society organizations in Nigeria, has audience with the federal government at the end of this month. As a matter of fact, they are also listening in on this program, and the outcome of this program is part of the CSO's document going to the federal in that meeting with the highest level of governance in Nigeria by the 30th of this month. So my colleague, do you have any more things to say before we end the session?
I really want to thank everyone. We're sorry we can't take all of your comments. We're sorry we can't take all of your questions. But like my colleague said, please keep sending them in. We'll send them to our panelists, and the recording will be made available to everyone. I want to thank Mr. Jamie Williamson for being here, for your time, for your brilliant presentation. I want to thank Mr. Andrew Uta for staying awake. You know, I know you are there far away in the US and staying awake to do this. You know, we thank you. We can't thank you enough. My Navy Commodore retired. I always enjoy listening to you, Dr. Adekunle Olawumi. Thank you for your fantastic presentation. I will keep following you. I love the fact that you don't hold back when it comes to expressing your views, and we do appreciate all you have said there. We appreciate Major Imaku. Thank you very much for your presentation, for everything you have done.
Thanks for now. You are jealous. Come, come and read. Come on.
We thank you very much, Major Imaku. Thank you very much for your presentation. So we'll send in questions from participants to and comments to us, and get feedback from us for them. Thank you very much once again, everyone, and God bless all of us.
Thank you, Douglas. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Star. Thank you, every single person from Warri, from Port Harcourt, from the United States, from Geneva, from the UK, from Northern Nigeria, from the private security sector. I think I can see the National Secretary General there. Thank you so much. Obi, I can see you from the US. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Bye.